Meet the Press is brought to you by Exxon.
Being channeled to all of us over the speakers in this room. And I might say to Secretary Berglund and his associates that we do have a hall that's crammed full of people who are interested in the American farmer, who are interested in trying to do something to keep the American farmer in business, that we're fighting for our survival down here, and we need his help, and we need the help of Washington to alleviate the situation regarding agriculture in Alabama and throughout the country.
Alabama have customers that have been in the cattle business for a long time, and most of these operations are cow-calf operations. And as we all know, cattle prices have been down for several years. A question, do you see any improvement in the cattle prices in the immediate future, and what are the USDA's long-term projections?
The USDA estimates are that cattle prices will about hold their own from now till out into the springtime, and then should show some modest improvement over the next 12 to 24 months. We know, as you've said, that cattle producers and cattle feeders together have lost heavily in the last 3 years. Only now has the situation turned around some, and I was out in Kansas yesterday and talked with cattle feeders there, and they're making a few dollars a head now. It's the first time in a long time they've been in the black. The long-haul prospects are generally bright. Interestingly, this year will export more animals and animal products than we'll import. That's a new and exciting prospect for us.
Our farmers, for the most part, feel that they could not have made expenses even with an average crop yield this year. This is basically why farmers are frustrated and feel like striking. What do you feel a strike by farmers would accomplish?
The question as to whether the strike will be effective is a matter that on which I can't even speculate, really. We know the wheat has been planted in the western states. We know that no crops will be planted in the springtime until out in April or March in a few cases, but generally April and May. And so it's a question of whether farmers withhold that which they've produced from this year's crop in quantities enough to have any effect on price. Obviously, in Alabama, as in neighboring Georgia and to the north in the Carolinas, there are literally tens of thousands of farmers who are in very serious economic shape because of the devastating drought. No one can lose a whole year's income without being hurt bad, some worse than others. If we cut off our exports, we are all in big trouble.
We have not been updated because there have not been a need for the figures, because there have not been the programs which required the gathering of the figures. These figures, as you know, are being gathered this year for the 77 crop and will be in the future for 78 and 79 crops. Unfortunately, we don't have good, solid information in our offices upon which we can rely for yield figures at the present time, and I think I understand.
Ohio State's last hopes of gaining a tie in the Rose Bowl over Michigan went up in smoke when Buckeye quarterback Rod Gerald fumbled with Michigan leading 14-6. Coach Woody Hayes vented his frustration on his headset, and ABC cameraman Mike Friedman. Today, Big Ten Commissioner Wayne Duke detailed sanctions against Hayes.
In accordance with the conference rules regarding sportsmanlike conduct, I'm issuing this public reprimand in respect to Coach Hayes citing his actions as an unfortunate display of unsportsmanlike conduct, and invoke the conference rule requiring that should Coach Hayes engage in another unsportsmanlike conduct act, with 1 year from this date, he will be automatically suspended from coaching the 2 football games for Ohio State following the second offense. I believe all involved in this episode regret its occurrence. For his role in the matter, Coach Hayes has apologized publicly to Mr. Friedman and personally and directly by telephone to Mr. Friedman.
Right now, the out. Good. Good. Hustle him back. Hustle him back. Here you go, Tony. There you go, Ray. Set! Hit!
Well, I think the character of our team is very strong, the team unity. We're not very big, Dan, and we don't have exceptional speed where we've gotten this far.
How did you get that far without the size or speed?
Well, we have some good performers, and we've had some breaks, and we've played well during most of our games.
Hurry, kid, come on. Let him try, Red, let him try. Let's go. One, no, big down. One more, Red. There, right there, get down. Get it down, no show. Down, set, hit. Hurry! Hit.
I don't look for a farmer's strike. Talking about a farmer's strike now, that's something that would not come until next spring, I assume. I don't believe it's going to be a strike. Farmers are realistic. They're not always happy, and certainly they don't have too much to be happy about now. But I do not look for any strike. Certainly, to use an old expression, to be cutting off their nose to spite their face if they did engage in a strike. Now, as to the protest, I'm not sure that that will not be productive of a whole lot of good, because it's being talked about right now. It's being talked about to the Secretary. It puts the plight of the farmer before the American people. And I don't see that any harm can come from this. They're not violent protests. Certainly I'm the last person in the state to condone a violent protest, but to dramatically make an appeal for recognition of the problem and plight of the farmer, I don't feel that's going to do any harm.
It's been in the works now for 6 weeks, a month, 2 months.
And that's not part of the original plan. And you have to basically tear it down, that's another problem.
No,
Another problem is we have to assume liability for 2,000 people there and all.
Put placed before you there, the 2 bids are received on the uniform rental service, tabulation form on the 3rd page, laying before you there. Mr. Knight, we don't have the cancellation clause in it, just as the other one did, we can cancel it, but it doesn't prove to be satisfactory. We make a recommendation that you
Take the bus. I ain't trying to.
But we have that opportunity this year coming up. Now, this being an election year bill, we're going to have to put some teeth in it. It's to be addressing those in the next session. With an agency, it's very difficult to get rid of it. I didn't realize the lead bill, I think, will pass. I think it has a better chance of passing the Senate. It has passed the House. Probably not the so-called Farm Bureau lead bill, but a lead bill will pass, and probably be one that everybody particularly could live with. For myself, I think about the lead bill that it should be 4 classes. If you know anything about it at all, you'll realize that small homeowners are paying the same in the so-called lead bill that we have faced, and it's died in the Senate. Small homeowners are paying it at the same rate as the paper companies that own thousands of acres of land, and I don't think that's right. I think the lead is proper, maybe it's too low.
I think the workman's compensation bill is going to come first, and if the reports I see in the newspaper have any validity, I would say that on the 2nd or 3rd of January you're going to find us in session. It takes a minimum of 5 legislative days to pass a bill. So I figure from the 3rd to the 9th would give us 5 legislative days. And I see, again, according to the media, that a compromise has been worked out. I'm a little disturbed at these compromises because it appears that the people that have been elected to represent you ought to be in on these compromises, and it appears that we are told about it through the media. And I don't know whether I'm satisfied with the so-called compromise or not.
Dave, with respect to the obscene materials in general, we are in the process of filing 7 lawsuits against certain hardcore pornography to have them declared obscene and to have the people who are selling these items temporarily restrained from the sale and display and distribution of these items.
The way you're now going about this, you must ask for the injunction every month. Why is that?
Well, Dave, we have to ask for this every month because if we did not, it would be a prior restraint on free speech. For instance, although we know that the next month's issue of Hustler is going to be obscene, we have to wait for it to hit the newsstand before we can actually prove this.
Cooperative Extension Service agricultural engineers from Auburn University say devices such as this, a solar grain drying system, offers one of the most promising sources for energy on the farm. So technically, it is now possible to use solar energy to dry grain. The unit takes air in at outside temperatures and raises it by 38 degrees as it passes through the tent or balloon-like solar unit. Humidity in the air is lowered and the unit effectively dries grain, especially soybeans. The solar grain drying system was designed using a commercially available solar collector and has been installed at the Quinton Cromlin farm near Wetumpka. James Donnell and Charles Ogburn were responsible for having the first system installed.
We found that with this collector, as we have installed here, that on a good day we can collect the equivalent of about 6.5 gallons worth of fuel. In other words, if we could save the farmer from burning 6.5 gallons of LP or propane gas. Now let's assume that the propane gas sells for 40 cents a gallon. We're saving him between $2.50 and maybe $3 worth of fuel per day that he's using this collector.
I understand the ruling from Washington. They have now agreed that abortions will continue to be available through the state Medicaid programs on an as-needed basis with 2 doctors or 2 physicians' opinions that the abortion is necessary. One thing this does in Alabama is increase the number of abortions that are affected through the Medicaid program. So we'll have more abortions and, of course, more cost in the Medicaid area to provide these abortions in the state of Alabama. Currently, the abortion rate in Alabama has been running about $500 per abortion. So you can imagine yourself, if you double the number of abortions now available, the Medicaid budget will be affected somewhat by this increase in abortions.
They're a great football team, no doubt about that. And the thing that impressed me the most, of course, you know, Woody's going to always have a sound, fundamental football team, but the thing that impressed me, you know, at the short little period I saw him was their quarterback. Gee whiz, he can fly, and containing him will be some kind of problem.
Don't they throw the ball more this year than traditional Woody Hayes teams of the past?
Well, again, I hate to play ignorant, but I am ignorant. And I haven't seen them, I haven't talked with staff. We've been working at other things, and we're going to get into it next few days, and all next week we'll really do a lot of studying and do some practice, and then the following week we'll, the week of the 22nd, we'll get out into our real preparation.
Would you say to win the national championship that, of course, Oklahoma and Texas have to get beat, Alabama has to win, and then would you say that'd be a voting race between you and Notre Dame?
I don't know. I think for us to have any chance to win the national championship, we have to go out and take charge and impress somebody, look like a national champion. If we look like a national champion, play like one, well, someone will vote for us. If we don't, well, we shouldn't have any votes. Just that simple.
Hello there.
Cummings, a combat veteran of 2 Vietnam tours, told the board that he did meet with State Senator Fred Jones's committee, and that Senator Jones told him that he was welcome to Alabama and that he welcomed the probe to clear the air. On the questions from the Army, Cummings did say that Jones referred to Jones's problem with the Guard in not being able to receive a Brigadier General star. Major Cummings then said it was his impression that National Guard head General Charles Rollo didn't expect the kind of investigation his team was sent here to do. The major then said after several days, General Rollo and other Guard officers started to ask how long would they be here. Cummings told the 4 colonels that it was his impression that General Charles Rollo thought that he could use the results of a short investigation in his long-running political fight with Senator Fred Jones. At one point during his investigation, Cummings said General Rollo told him, quote, "Well, maybe I'm not going to get out of this what I thought I was going to get out of this," end quote. Cummings then proceeded to go over what he called illegal pay procedures and the use of stereos by Guard officials in their cars and offices. Stereos originally designed for use by recruiters, but they were not able to be used because of vans that would not be able to accept the stereos. So they were signed out to some Guard officers and cars. Another part of Cummings' testimony was that not only did Major Hawthorne's unit stretch regulations, but that it was his opinion that other units in the Guard also were either unaware or that it was an accepted practice to disregard or stretch some regulations. All of this testimony was done from questions from the Army. But on the cross-examination by Defense Attorney David Burns, Major Cummings was not sure about a lot of things. He was not sure who he talked to on the telephone at times, and he was not sure how many times he talked with Senator Fred Jones or how he arrived at some conclusions that he wrote to Army headquarters. Today, Major Cummings told the Board of Officers that it was General Charles Rollo, head of the Alabama National Guard, who called the Inspector General's office and asked that his own Guard units be investigated and not State Senator Fred Jones or State Representative Alvin Holmes. The Board of Officers are expected to decide upon the fate of Major Arthur Hathorne sometime during this weekend. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News, reporting from the Army hearings.
The Commission voted to table the measures until further study can be made after representatives from several hospitals and schools contended the state would still be suffering a nursing shortage in 1981. That's the year the programs would be in full swing. A Commission staff report introduced by Dr. William Carr stated there would not be a shortage. In fact, the figures indicated there would be an overabundance of nurses by that year.
We will have 17,319 active RNs, and that the projected demand for RNs will be 13,165, for a difference of 4,154, or approximately 32%.
The programs under consideration are an associate degree program at Northeast Alabama State Junior College, a baccalaureate nursing degree at Troy State University, a Bachelor of Science in Nursing at Auburn University, and a Bachelor of Science in Nursing at Auburn University at Montgomery. AUM Chief Administrative Officer Hanley Funderburg says he feels the program is badly needed at AUM.
Well, we've been in Montgomery for 8 years now, and I've heard more about a nursing program, the need for a nursing program, than any other program that we have, or any other program that people have talked to us about. So we think the need in this area is very great.
Baptist Hospital spokesman Gene Hanna agrees that there will be a shortage in years to come, adding he doesn't know where the Commission got its figures.
The nursing shortage is as bad today as it was 4 years ago, if not worse, and that's the only thing I can go on. I do not know. I looked at the figures that are projected. I don't believe them one bit.
It's not known yet when the Commission will meet again to discuss the nursing programs, nor is it known what kind of study will be needed to settle the issue. This is Dave Rickey, WSFA TV News reporting.
Those are real big plays, you know. It's just a football field with a roof on top of it, you know.
That's all it is, huh?
You know, I mean, it's a real nice place, really, to be playing. You know, I mean, I just like playing in your own living room. I guess that's the way I look at it, you know.
You hope to give some of those guys a ride down there?
I hope so. You know, in fact, I'm just gonna go down there and try to do my best.
It's a big game, though. It's bigger, really, than a Penn State game, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, one of the biggest games we had around here since I've been here, you know, because it's a big honor to be playing Ohio State.
Yeah. This will be the last chance to play as a collegian, and I know that you hope to become a pro. Do you think it's important to have a good game and impress a lot of pro scouts?
Well, I think, you know, that's important too, but the main thing I'm trying to do is just keep, you know, getting better and do what I can to help the team, you know. And then I worry about all that later, you know.
It'll take care of itself.
Oh, yeah.
Just football field with a roof on it, huh?
Right.
That's right.
But it's nice to be playing down there.
Yeah. Okay, good luck to you. Hope you have a good game.
Thank you.
Say hello to your mama back home.
Hi, Mom. How you doing?
The proposals under consideration are an associate degree in nursing at Northeast Alabama State University, a baccalaureate nursing degree at Troy State University, and Bachelor of Science in Nursing degrees at both Auburn University and Auburn University at Montgomery. The conflict began when the Commission introduced a report indicating that by 1981, when the requested programs would be in full swing, there would no longer be a shortage of nurses such as there is now. But a spokesman for Baptist Medical Center, which has recruited nurses from as far away as Canada, says those figures can't be correct.
The problem that I have with the figures is how many active RNs do we have in these areas? For instance, I've got another set of figures in my hand right now that came from the State Health Planning Department. It says that there are 13,093 RNs active in the state of Alabama, and your report says 17,319. That's 4,000 RNs different. I'd love to have 4,000 RNs.
To what we've experienced the last 5 years, 1972 through 1976. We are projecting for the future a 44% increase in the graduates compared to a 123% increase that we've experienced the last 5 years, 1972 through 1976.
The issue will once again be discussed at the Commission's next meeting, which will be held after more in-depth study has been done by the Commission staff. This is Dave Rickey, WSFA TV News reporting.
Shortly after 9 o'clock today, we were called into the board was reconvened. We had the opportunity of going in. Major Hathorn stood before the board, and the president announced the general findings. Their findings were that his federal recognition would not be withdrawn, that he had sustained the burden of proof placed upon him by the regulations. They will make formal written findings to the Commander, 1st United States Army.
I'm sure you're pleased, but what are your overall reactions to the hearing as far as the setup behind it and everything else considered?
We're very, very grateful for the opportunity first to have had the hearing now. The legal advisor, Colonel Black, was a most fair and impartial. He's a judge from Massachusetts. And the board members selected by the commanding general, 1st United States Army, Lieutenant General Jeffrey Smith. There are questions throughout the hearing indicated that they came there to find what the facts were, and as far as we are concerned, it was a fair and impartial hearing.
Well, I agree with David. From the start, we could tell, first of all, we had a first-class legal officer, Colonel Black, and the board members are career military people, and they endeavored to find out what the truth of the matter is. We were very confident somewhat that once this was done and we knew we had an impartial panel, that we would be in good shape to sustain the burden, which was to show why Major Hathorn federal recognition should not be withdrawn, and we were given that opportunity, and that's what happened.
Is this the final step, or is there the possibility for appeal by anyone?
These recommendations will be forwarded and acted upon first by Lieutenant General Smith, then forwarded to National Guard Bureau, and ultimately the Secretary of the Army decides. Today, however, is critical because I would imagine and would be greatly surprised if General Smith did not follow the recommendations of this panel. It would be it would be highly unusual if he did not.
It was a very grueling experience, and one that I hope that very few people ever have to go through.
You feel like you have been properly cleared right now of all that was said about you before?
I certainly do.
What about the other men that are still up for these type of hearings? Do you think that they will go through the same type thing you did, or do you think that because of this first case that things may go easier or at least quicker for them?
I would hope that they do not have to go through a federal recognition hearing, sir.
Have you been in contact with General Gray at all concerning today's ruling?
I have not.
How do you think he'll react? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea, sir.
All right.
A new word has entered the English language, tractorcade. You've no doubt heard a lot about tractorcades recently, and today the tractors invaded Montgomery. Today's tractorcade here in the capital city was in conjunction with tractorcades in state capitals all across the country. The largest one in Atlanta, where some 6,000 to 7,000 tractors took part. Here in Montgomery, about 300 tractors proceeded into town and then gathered at Crampton Bowl for a rally. Organizers had expected 1,500 tractors to participate. The farmers are protesting against low crop prices and high production costs. They're also seeking 100% parity, which theoretically would put prices at a high enough level to give farmers the same purchasing powers they had in a 1910 to 1914 base period when cost and prices were considered in relative balance. At least one political figure braved the cold weather to speak to the farmers, Senator Burt Bank of Tuscaloosa. Also among the speakers at the rally today were W.B. Chandler, one of the organizers, and former Alabama Agricultural Commissioner A.W. Todd.
I want to know today where our public officials are. I would like to know where the farm leaders in Alabama are. Where are they today? I would like to know where the congressmen, the people running for governor, and the people running for lieutenant governor, and all those things are today. Those people need to be here showing you that they stand up for you, because your food prices on the food table and the marketplace will go down once the farmer begins to make the money. And you know, I'm not disturbed either, because it might have to subsidize the farmer a little bit. You know, we've just subsidized New York City. 2 years ago, we subsidized Penn Central. We still subsidizing those people. We subsidize all the airlines in America.
And so farmers in Alabama, in conjunction with other farmers all across the nation, have participated in a tractorcade. They've come and gone here in Montgomery. Now they're heading back to their homes. It remains to be seen whether this tractorcade will be effective